Hi again, Intro to Ed students. I just wanted to make a quick video. After reading through your research papers, I had a few notes for you all. It was really nice to see such a diverse set of topics. I saw gaming and gamification, a lot of charter versus public school, pros and cons. You guys all did a really good job of offering the pros and the cons for both. Sports in charter and public schools, standardized testing, funding. A lot of you mentioned Finland, which was great. Early intervention, education reform, student success, class sizes, which is tied to student success, education reform, and funding. It's all just kind of one big tangled web of current issues in education. I did want to mention that I know I put a lot of videos and resources these last 2 weeks about how we're falling behind and how great of a job Finland is doing and some other countries. But I want to add a positive twist and say that, a lot of those statistics can be manipulated. There are a lot of variables that go into those statistics. Our standardized tests may not align with, Finland's standardized tests or lack thereof. They don't even really do standardized testing, or if they do, it's to inform the teachers of what they're doing well and what they're not. It's not really a reflection on the student. Other countries only test certain demographics, only the kids who can afford school or the kids who are doing well. Some countries, they kick kids out after seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, whenever they quit passing the test. And so all the data you see is gathered from those students who were able to progress to 10th or 11th grade math or whatever it might be. And I also want you to note that in Finland, their government structure is very different than ours. They're more of a socialist society. They pay a lot more taxes. The structure is just very different, kind of like in Germany, where doctors make more than teachers, but not 3 times or 4 times or 5 times as much as teachers like in America. So there are a lot of larger structures that enable Finland to run their schools the way they do. What I think is fascinating about Finland is they took a relatively poor, underperforming school system and they were able to turn it around and make it one of the best in the world. But we couldn't do all of the things that they do exactly the same way that they do them in Finland and America because we are much larger, we are less homogeneous. There's a lot of reasons that we couldn't do exactly what Finland does, but I think they're a good model and a good example of how some kind of fundamental changes can make some big differences. Fundamental changes in attitude and in just the way things are done in general. I love that they focus on relationships with teachers. Teachers keep the same group for a couple years. Their class sizes are smaller. Teachers get more autonomy. All of those things are things I think that we could easily integrate into the American school system. When I say easily, I guess I don't. It would be more difficult in certain areas of America, for sure, based on funding, mostly to enable a lot of those changes to happen. But at a local level, we can start making an effort to, uh, acknowledge the benefits of lower class sizes, invest in more teachers or more support for teachers, change the relationship teachers have with the community, make it a more respectful and professionalized profession, those types of things. So hopefully you didn't hear after watching all of those videos and reading all of those articles that America has a crap educational system and a lot of things need to change, because I do think we are doing a lot of things right. Um, Also, I love Sir Ken Robinson. He has written a lot of books. He has a lot of TED Talks. You should check him out if that's something you really agree with, especially the creativity. There are a few other books I wanted to show you if you're interested in learning about how other countries do things. This Little Soldiers, An American Boy, a Chinese School, and the Global Race to Achieve is really nicely written, and talks about the differences between Asian school systems and ours. Educated is an amazing book by Tara Westover. Sorry, Little Soldiers is by Lenora Chu. And then Educated by Tara Westover is about a young woman who grew up in like an uneducated environment. Essentially, she was not schooled, and she now has a PhD, but it talks about her experiences in an unschooled environment. Let me see. If you're interested in learning more about statistics and how things are measured, this Beyond Measure by Vicki Abels is a good one. I know some of you wrote things about standardized testing. Some were for, some were against, some were somewhere in between, so that's a good one. How Children Succeed, I think, is good for every teacher by Paul Tuff. I know you guys are like inundated with textbooks right now, but maybe you could put these on a reading list for the summer or for when you start teaching. And then I've heard a lot of you say that you're enjoying Rafe's book. He has another one, Real Talk for Real Teachers. That might be one that's of interest to you as well. And then this one is kind of more philosophical, but it's Schooling Beyond Measure and Other Unorthodox Essays About Education by Alfie Kohn, who has written 13 books that about school reform. He's talked about standardized testing, homework, all kinds of stuff. So this one's pretty thin, has multiple essays in it. Check it out if that's of interest to you. And then lastly, I really loved reading all of your research papers. The one thing I did mark a lot of people down on was not including, you had a reference list, but this is something I'm learning while I do my PhD work. You need to integrate what you used from those references in your paper. So a lot of you wrote 3, 4, 5 wonderful paragraphs, some of which had statistics in it, but you did not tell me where you got those statistics or how you used that source. So in the future, I don't think we have any upcoming research papers, but just in general, and I only took off like a point or something if you did this, but in general, if you have it listed in your resources or your reference page, you need to make sure you have given credit to those authors somewhere in the paper. It doesn't have to be a direct quote, but you need to put, in there that these, as per so-and-so, 48% of high school seniors experience whatever. So whenever there's a statistic and anytime you use a source, just say how you used it and where. That was the only feedback I have. Thank you for listening, and I'll check back in again in about a week.